So here we are at my local dead mall, the Enfield Square Mall in Enfield, Connecticut. I filmed this mainly in August of 2021. And then the second part where I go around the outside of the building, that was filmed just recently in November of 21. So this mall was built in 1971, which would make this its 50th anniversary. And since at least 2017, this mall has been dead, or at the very least on life support and ready to have the plug pulled. It was originally built with 3 anchor stores. On the left, right there, was originally a Steiger's, which I'm actually not familiar with. I've never seen a Steiger's. I think they went out of business before I started going to the mall. And then there was also a G Fox and a J.C. Penney as the original 3 anchors. Straight ahead is the Target, which was built in 2001. And nowadays, Target is really the only reason I can think of that this mall is still open. It's the only place that really draws any crowds, as you'll see right now. So on the right here, this used to be a Ruby Tuesday restaurant, which I used to go to all the time. That closed in 2016. On the left here, this was Panera Bread, and that closed just last year in 2020, just before the pandemic, I believe. And then coming up here on the right, this gated area here, this used to be a Cece's Pizza. At least that's what it was the last time I remember. Currently, just this month in December, I noticed that there's a kebab place in there now, so it is occupied. But I have yet to see anybody actually at the kebab place. So this is the entrance to the Sears, which was originally a Steiger's, but it became Sears in, I believe, 97. And then it closed in 2017. I used to go there all the time for my clothes. Security is over here on the left, but I haven't seen security in this mall in years. And there's never anybody in that security booth there. On the left here, we've got the Cinemark movie theater, which I, again, used to go to all the time. It was closed all of last year because of the pandemic. It's now open, but only part-time from what I can tell. And I rarely see anybody in there. I can't imagine it lasting too much longer. And then you'll notice at least 75% of these storefronts are closed with nobody in them. Originally, this mall had a lot of kiosks in the center of the mall. Like straight ahead, you see there was a kiosk there. At one point, most of the kiosks seemed to move into the actual storefronts. But now even those kiosks that moved into the storefronts seem to be mostly gone. This was a CVS here on the left. You can tell by the colors. And now it looks like it's some sort of daycare or something. But it looks closed as well. Now up here you think, oh, there's people in the mall. Well, they're not actually here shopping. There's amazingly a church in this mall, which I've never seen another mall that has a church inside it. So I don't know if that's normal or not. But all these people were at that church. And of course, one of the stores that's still open is Bath & Body Works, which for whatever reason seem to be in almost every dead mall. Then here on the left, this was originally a J.C. Penney when the store first opened. And then it became a Filene's, I believe. And then it became a Macy's. So the last thing in there was a Macy's. But that closed in 2016. And there's a stretch of a few shops here that are still open. This Claire's, and then the T-Mobile shop. And then down here on the right, you'll see a Lens Crafters, which is actually the only reason I ever come into the mall for any actual business, is to go to the Lens Crafters for my glasses. Got a sports shop here on the left, which is open, but again, you rarely see anybody in there. And I have to wonder how old that candy is there. I can't believe they've filled that in years. And then we do have a Party City here. Party City moved in 2017. I'm assuming because I guess the rent must have been cheaper when everybody was moving out. But it's not even really part of the mall because the main entrance to the Party City is actually on the other side in the parking lot, so you don't even have to go into the mall to get to it. Here's the old GNC. And usually GNC seems to last pretty long in these dead malls, but they're gone too. And then straight ahead there, you'll see that covered over entrance. That was originally the G Fox, which also became a Filene's, and then also a Macy's. And again, the Macy's, both of them closed in 2016. They had, I think the men's section was in one Macy's and Filene's, and hardware was in one store, so they had them separated like that. And over here on the left, this used to be the Radio Shack. There was an entrance from the outside. And Radio Shack closed, I forget exactly when, in the last 5 years, I believe. 5 to less than 10 years, but it was when all the other Radio Shacks closed. And it's nothing now. They just have those banners up, but I don't believe there's anything in there. And generally, other than the people that we saw before at the church, the only other people you'll see in here are mall walkers. There's a few of those. But very, very few people are actually shopping. Also, the car dealership, Leah, had a store in here, and they were actually using the parking lot at one point for their cars. So the parking lot would look full, but it was actually new cars for Leah that were just stored out there. But even those don't seem to be there anymore, probably because now it's so hard to get a car. There just aren't enough to put them in the lot anymore. They're all over at the dealership. Over here we have a GameStop. There's actually 2 game stores in the mall, amazingly. So you got a GameStop there, which is probably why that kid is sitting there on the bench. He was probably in the GameStop. And then you'll see there's another video game store coming up down the road a bit. And you don't really notice it when you're in there, but looking at these videos, the inside of this mall is actually pretty nice. Up there on the left, you have the skylights, or I don't know if they're really skylights, but large windows. You don't really see those unless you're looking straight up when you're walking around, but it is impressive to look at now. It almost looks like an airport, now that I think about it. And a lot of these storefronts will look like they're selling stuff, but it's actually displays for other stores. So it looks like other stores are actually just using these empty storefronts to display their stuff. There's the lens crafters I was talking about. On the left here, it looks like these guys were moving something, and recently I've seen some work being done in that storefront, but I'm not sure what's going in there exactly. There's a jeweler store over there. And then we're coming up on the Target. So the main stores in the mall are probably Lens Crafters, T-Mobile, the jewelry store. That's about it. Target. But I don't really consider Target part of the mall because it's completely separated from the mall. You can get to it from the mall, but the main entrance is not in the mall. It's outside in the parking lot, and very few people go between Target and the mall. I'm pretty certain if the Target closed, the mall would close. And really, the only thing keeping the mall open is the Target. Then on the left here is the other video game store I was talking about. This is more of a local type shop, private owned shop. It's not part of the chain like the other one is. On the left here, this black fronted store, or dark colored store, I think this was the Hot Topic. I'm pretty sure. It was right around this area. That was fairly popular at one point. There's that church. Which again, let me know if I'm wrong, but that seems unusual to me. I just have never seen that before. But again, I would guess the rent is cheap, so it probably makes sense for them. That's the inside of the mall. It's a pretty small mall. And now we'll take a look at the outside, take a walk around the building, and it actually looks a lot worse than you would think. So this is the outside, which was the old Steigers originally and then became the Sears, which closed in 2017. Now take a look inside there. And then as you walk around the building here, from a distance it looks fine, but as you get closer, you look at it, it's really falling apart. The stucco is falling off, it's all moldy, the paint's chipping. mean, there's no way it's been painted in at least probably over 10 years. There's the old Sears Auto Center. And here's one of the old loading docks for Sears. It looks like they have black curtains up there so you can't see inside. There's more Sears loading docks. And then this was the entrance to Sears for the Home and Garden section. Basically everything other than clothing was in this part of the Sears. Now on the left here we're coming up on the old JCPenney building, which again became a Filene's and then a Macy's at the very end. More loading docks, of course. Just notice those green lights there on the right. Those would look pretty spooky at night. And you can see the outline kind of the old Filene sign. And then you can almost see the Macy's on top of the Filene's. And the red stars there are the Macy's symbol. Or logo. And then this is the side entrance to the Macy's. And I went by here recently and they actually have Christmas decorations up in these windows now. Now this is the old G. Fox building, which again became a Filene's and then a Macy's. And I really like the architecture over here, these arches. And this is definitely the original 1971 architecture. It has not been updated at all. I believe the Sears on the other side where Steiger's was, I believe that facade was updated at some point. It doesn't look like 71 to me, but this definitely does. And apparently somebody forgot to stop the newspaper subscription because there's 2 newspapers sitting out there. Can't think of any other reason they would be there than they were being delivered. I think that's the only graffiti I've seen so far. And this entrance is kind of spooky. Just because it looks so run down. In case anyone was interested, the building is for lease. I don't expect anybody to lease it, but it is available. Now this is the original entrance to the G. Fox building, which is the most spectacular in my opinion. It's got a huge archway here, and then inside you have a very high open ceiling. And then when you take a look in here, to me it looks like you could turn this into an office pretty easily. It almost looks like cubicles are already set up, but I could see them in there pretty easily. I don't think it'll happen, but it's an option, I guess. And there you have it. That's the Enfield Square Mall, Connecticut's premier dead mall. I can't imagine it lasting for more than 5 years, so if you want to see it, get out there as soon as possible. See ya.